Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, welcome to the conversation we're going to have together today. Happy Earth Day, everybody. I think the most important thing that I think of when I think of Earth Day is I think of the five elements. The Chinese medicine has five elements that we talk about a lot. One of the elements is earth, obviously, and the earth element is referencing the spleen and the stomach, digestive process, lymphatic filtration, cleaning the body from viruses, germs, bacteria, allergens, mold, etc. That's the very important part of our earth being, our earth physicality. So it's really important to celebrate this day, not just for Mother Earth, but for the Mother Earth that's within us, the Mother Earth that's around us, and the Mother Earth that's within us. We're going to take your questions. Any questions you have? We're happy to answer your questions for you. So fire away.
Where?
Good morning.
Someone say good
morning. The question about eye floaters, Marie. Yeah, eye floaters are generally gallbladder problems. So when you think about floaters, you want to think about lipid problems in the gallbladder. So there's some work you can do with that. You might think about using bitter herbs that are like barberry. Oregon grapefruit is good. Oregon grapefruit drops, barberry drops. You could also use dandelion root tea, things like that. And take about a month to cut back your fat consumption. So any kind of fatty foods that you're eating, that you're perhaps overeating, too many oils, too many fats in general, you might want to cut those back a little bit. So cut down on fats, support your gallbladder with lipid supports, bitter herbs, even homeopathic nat sulf or nat phos would be very good. 6x, 3 pellets 3 times a day. Try those remedies, see how you do.
Do you see more questions?
This is our first ever attempt to do this with Gaia.
Tinnitus.
So,
is there a remedy for tinnitus?
Tinnitus. There's a question about tinnitus. Yes, tinnitus is generally neurological. It's usually from nerve compression in the head. So there's a lot of nerve endings that get compressed from time to time from things like inflammation. You might want to try an anti-inflammatory diet. Avoid dairy, red meats, nuts like peanuts. Avoid sugar products. Focus on low-fat proteins, low-starch vegetables. So entrees, clear soups, stews, things like that. And try to stay away from the inflammatory foods. Inflammatory foods produce arachidonic acid, and they produce a high concentration of leukotriene, B4s, hydroxylated fatty acids, lipoxins, and things like that. So those actually cause a lot of inflammation that actually can cause the nerve compression in the brain that cause the tinnitus. Also, you might want to think about take vitamin B12, get some methyl B12, METHY, methyl B12. Jarrow makes a 5,000 microgram methyl B12. It's really good. Jarrow formulas, 5,000 micrograms methyl B12. Try those remedies. Pamela, hair loss due to stress and low biotin. Yeah, there's a multi B vitamin with high sulfur amino acids. It's got cysteine, things like that. It's called Ultra Hair. It's made by Nature's Plus. Ultra Hair is a really good remedy for that. It's a great B complex, high sulfur amino acid compound. It's supportive in a beautiful way. It's going to take you about 3 months to make a difference with it, but take one a day. That's Ultra Hair by Nature's Plus. I'd also recommend that you increase your consumption of whole grain products like brown rice, oatmeal, things like that. If you're going to use carbohydrates, you want to make sure you're using the high B complex carbohydrates, like I said, brown rice, oatmeal, that kind of thing, and focus on increasing your buildup of B vitamins. And the stress could be something you want to address as well from the perspective of 2 different adrenal supports. I like to use astragalus and ashwagandha together. They work beautifully well together as tonifiers to the adrenal glands and toning down the stress. The adrenals go through 3 phases: alarm, resistance, and recovery. When the adrenals are in an alarm phase, you're going to lose hair. You need to put them in a resistance phase, slow them down, heal them, and pull out some of that excessive stress. Meditation doesn't hurt either. Yoga, Tai Chi, things like that. Give that a try.
How do you perform muscle testing via Zoom?
We perform muscle testing via Zoom very simply in proxy. So we have a surrogate, an intern, an associate here in the office, and they'll take your place energetically, so to speak. So intention is the key. You don't need to be worried about the particulars of material limitations. There are no material limitations. The universe, as we are starting to learn more and more every day, the universe is energy-based. Everything in the universe is energy-based. It's all energy. And if you think about it, there are waves of cascades and waves of energy that are interpolated. So we're all one big form of energy that's actually drawn from the same source of frequency. So we don't have to worry about the material limitations, the Newtonian limitations. This is Einsteinian medicine. We're working from the perspective of overlapping frequencies. And there's nothing that stops us or slows us down. There's no limitation from energy from the perspective of frequency, time, and space. That's how we perform. So we have an intern. We actually have them take your place in proxy. And we just have the muscle testing process. We check all your foods. We check all your glands and organs, et cetera, et cetera. Is there another one?
So Cherie is on with us right now. Any tips for post-COVID hair loss?
For post-COVID hair loss, yes. You want to think there's
It's our Cherie.
Good. Cherie, how you doing? It's great to hear your voice through the ethers. The key here is you want to think in terms of, there's a company called DesBio, DESBIO. DesBio makes a really good product called Chemtox, CHEMTOX. Chemtox neutralizes the presence of the vaccines and the negative medications that many people take that limit our wellness, our wholeness. So you want to basically clean the toxins out first. And I think the Chemtox by DesBio is a great product. I also recommend phosphorus. Homeopathic phosphorus is a good supplement as well for that. Like a 30C, 3 pellets 3 times a day. And obviously just keep your diet anti-inflammatory and clean, and a lot of water a day, at least 50 to 60 ounces of pure water a day as well. Never drink during a meal, of course. Drink in between meals, before and after meals. That should help you out. What else?
So Gloria asks, do you feel hyaluronic acid can help overall inflammation and fibromyalgia issues?
Gloria, hyaluronic acid is a great product. It increases our body's ability to produce its own collagen. So, but there's a better way to do it, I think. I like to use the Neocell, Neocell collagen liquid. I recommend two tablespoons a day of Neocell collagen liquid. I think that's the best way to go. It is true that hyaluronic acid increases our ability to produce our own collagen at a higher level, but I'd still prefer the Neocell collagen. I think it works better. What else?
Christy asks, have some tingling in my lower legs and feet. Any remedies? We'll see if it's back issues.
Probably, Christy, for the tingling in your lower legs and feet, you should have a chiropractor or an osteopath look at your lower spine, your sacral lumbar spine. Lumbar sacral areas are notorious for throwing things off in the lower body. Also, you want to think in terms of kidney function and spleen function. All the kidney meridians and spleen meridians run up and down the legs. There's some important points like spleen 9, kidney 1 through 5. Those are important areas in the lower body. And I think you need to make sure that you don't overdo salt and sodium in your diet. You want to make sure you don't overdo sugar in your diet. The crystals got to come down. So sodium and sugar got to be limited far more than you're probably doing right now. That's important. I think also you might want to think in terms of using, I think you might want to use some fish oils. I'd like to use 1,000 milligrams of fish oil. Take 2 capsules 3 times a day, 6 a day all told. 1,000 milligrams of omega-3s. I think the other thing you might want to consider doing is using some magnesium. I would recommend magnesium citrate. Take roughly 500 milligrams of magnesium citrate a day. Try working with those supplements and see how you do. What else?
Kara asks, brain fog, lots of stress at work.
Lots of stress at work, brain
Brain
fog. I
fog.
mean, brain fog is notoriously produced by a lot of stress. So you want to think in terms of neutralizing your stress first. That's pretty important. So I'd say that you want to think in terms of, like you said earlier, meditation, Tai Chi. There's some great exercises in the Way of Miracles book to help you with your stress. Good exercises. The other thing you might want to think about doing is taking things like ashwagandha and using astragalus with it. Astragalus and ashwagandha, those are like 500 milligram capsules. Take 2 of each twice a day. 2 of each twice a day. Astragalus and ashwagandha, those are very helpful for stress. Anybody else?
John asks, what can you do to counter antiphospholipid syndrome? Clot too much?
Yeah, John, clotting factors are the result of thromboxane A2. Thromboxane A2 is produced by arachidonic acid, is produced by leukotrienes. So again, red meat, dairy products, sugar, nuts and seeds, corn. Those are things that produce thromboxane A2. They increase your thromboxane. Red meat, and especially in dairy products. Those are the worst. They produce a tremendous amount of thromboxane A2, which increases clotting factor. Back to the fish oil idea. Again, I think to get some good quality fish oil capsules, Nordic Naturals is really good. Nordic Naturals is a great company. 1,000 milligrams of omega-3 fish oil. Take 2 capsules 3 times a day. That should make a big difference. That'll neutralize some of the thromboxane A2 levels that are obviously too elevated, causing your clotting factor. Sugar's a huge clotter. Sugar produces there's a lot of anaerobic glycolysis. So the liver takes your sugars, converts them into immediately usable energy. Whatever it stores as 3 carbon fats. That's going to dump a lot of your clotting factor into your blood. So that's no sugar. That's important. And too much starch is a problem too. Who else?
Mar S asks, which of the oils is best for autoimmune issues?
Which of the oils is best for autoimmune issues? For autoimmune issues, you want to make sure you avoid omega-6. Omega-6 is inflammatory. Omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. We need a ratio of 1 to 1. So research indicates that perfect autoimmune support, anti-inflammatory support requires a 1-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. The average American is 17.5 to 1 omega-6 to omega-3, so we're way off. That's why we're all so anti-inflammatory, so inflammatory, I should say, and so autoimmune. There's 155 autoimmune diseases. 72% of them are triggered by inflammatory chemistry. So for autoimmune stuff, you want to be careful about omega-6 oils, like I said, seed oils, sesame, sunflower, safflower oil. Those are not going to help your autoimmune condition at all. The best way to help your autoimmune condition is get your omega-3s, your flax oil, your fish oil, increase them, and make sure your diet is, like I said, sugar-free, red meat-free, and dairy-free. Who's next?
We have what is good for menopause and hot flashes?
There's a great homeopathic medicine for hot flashes and menopause. It's called sepia, S-E-P-I-A, sepia. I like a 30C of homeopathic sepia, 3 pellets under the tongue 3 times a day. Take that for a month. It should make a huge difference. It should stop this hot flashes right away.
Hyperthyroidism? Hyperthyroidism from Amy.
Yeah, Amy, hyperthyroidism. Pretty unusual. I mean, most people were concerned about low thyroid. Hyperthyroid is overactive thyroid. Hyperthyroid, like anything else in the body that's overdrawn, anything that's pushing too hard metabolically, is being pushed by the adrenals. So when your thyroid is overactive with hyperthyroid, you want to take lemon balm. Lemon balm is a great medicine for that. Take lemon balm capsules. 500 milligram capsules, take 6 a day, 2, 2, and 2. That's really good for hyperthyroid. The other thing is you want to work with your adrenals, like I said. So I'd take ashwagandha, astragalus, again, like we said earlier, 2 caps of each twice a day. And make sure you take the time to meditate, do some Tai Chi, some yoga, do some deep relaxation, some visualization, do the exercises at the end of each chapter in our book, The Way of Miracles. So those are really important points. You got to work on the adrenals to calm down the hyperthyroid.
Kara asks, colon cancer stage 3.
All right, colon cancer stage 3 care. There's a couple things I think are really, really important for that. Make sure you check your pH. Steward your pH. Don't just check it. Check your first morning's urine. Get the urine strips they have at the health food stores. Urinate on the strip, and it's got a color code numerical value. So it's going to give you a numerical value. The range goes from 5.0 to 8.0. You want to be 6.4 to 6.8. You want to be right in the middle. 6.4 to 6.8 is really important. If you're lower than that, you're too acidic. And if you're too acidic, you want to neutralize the acidity by taking liquid chlorophyll. There's something called chloroxygen. Chloroxygen drops, 18 drops, 3 ounces of water 3 times a day. and take a half a teaspoon of baking soda and 3 ounces of water before bed. Those will bring your pH up a little bit into the normal range. That's very important, number one. Number two, there's an herb called pawpaw, P-A-W-P-A-W, pawpaw. There's a company called Nature's Sunshine Herbs. Nature's Sunshine Herbs makes the pawpaw. 17.5 milligrams, take 4 a day. Those are the most important things you can do. Who else?
Mari G, a way to remove heavy toxins after receiving the vaccine.
Yes, Mari G, the heavy toxins from the vaccine, are, like I said earlier, there's two things I think are important. There's a company called Desbio, D-E-S-B-I-O, Desbio. They make a Chemtox. It's a drop, tincture. Take the Chemtox drops, 10 to 15 drops under the tongue 3 times a day. Take a big glass of water after you take the drops to disperse them. The other thing I'd recommend for that is you want to make sure you take some form of phosphorus. I like NatPhos, NATPHOS, homeopathic NatPhos, or straight phosphorus. Either one, either straight phosphorus or NatPhos, homeopathic. 3 pellets under the tongue 3 times a day. You get a 30C for the phosphorus. Who's next?
Carrie says, sometimes I wake up at night with painful leg cramps. Any suggestions?
Painful leg cramps, probably electrolyte problems. You want to think in terms of getting some potassium, get some, you can get electrolyte powders. There's a lot of different electrolyte powders. I'd recommend some electrolyte powder. Excuse me. I'd also recommend some potassium, 99 milligrams a day, and some magnesium. Get the magnesium citrate, 400 to 500 milligrams a day total. Those should take care of your cramps.
Do you want me to do this one? So this is another question from Christy for her daughter, Emily. She's having a great deal of postnasal drainage and has fear of swallowing since a choking incident is only drinking nutritional drinks, no dairy at the moment, and in soups. Any help for her postnasal drip?
Yes, postnasal drip for a child. You want to think in terms of getting some colloidal silver drops and putting the colloidal silver drops down the nostrils. So when she's lying in bed, before she gets out of bed in the morning, before she goes to bed in the evening, have her lie down, put her head back in the pillow in the bed. And when she's got her head tilted back, you put 6 drops, 4 to 6 drops of colloidal silver. That's 10 parts per million. 4 to 6 drops down both nostrils. Let it really soak in down there. And do that twice a day, beginning of your day, end of the day. I think that's really the most important thing you can do. Because again, there's postnasal drip that's coming from inflammation. It's probably due to mold allergies, a little bit of bacteria that builds up from the mold, and that causes the inflammation that causes the symptoms. Give that a try.
All right. Shane says, what do you suggest for epilepsy?
For epilepsy obviously is a neurological condition. I think one of the most important things to regulate the neurons in the brain from epilepsy problems is taurine, T-A-U-R-I-N-E, taurine. I'd recommend that you get 2 different things, magnesium taurate, which is a combination of magnesium and taurine, and then straight taurine, 500 milligrams. So magnesium taurate as directed, and taurine, T-A-U-R-I-N-E, 500 milligrams before bed. The other thing I'd say there is probably should get some B12. I like the Jarrow formulas, 5,000 mcgs of B12. That's important. I think those should make a difference.
Okay. Nathan says, LDL has been a few points high these last 2 years. Doctor wants to put me on statin drugs.
Okay, listen, Nathan.
Yep.
Nathan, really important point here. The medical world is twisted about certain things. One of the things they're twisted about is cholesterol. They make me crazy about this cholesterol stuff. The cholesterol board is made up of 11 experts, 9 of which used to work for the pharmaceutical industry. They drive the sale of these medications in many cases, in my opinion. I think the important thing is to realize that the Harvard study, it's the most significant study about cholesterol, says this. Forget about the LDL, doesn't mean anything. The thing that matters is the total cholesterol in ratio to the HDL, the good cholesterol. If the total in ratio to the HDL is 3.5 or less, you're golden. That's all you want to do. Figure out the ratio, the mathematical ratio between your total cholesterol and your HDL, your good cholesterol. 3.5 to 1, you're good to go, or less than that, 3.5 or less. That's important. The other thing is if you're going to take statins, please, the doctors won't tell you this. It's important that you realize you have to take CoQ10, ubiquinol, because the statin drugs wipe out your ubiquinol, and that's really important to regulate your heart function. Who else?
So kind of to piggyback on that, Tina, high blood pressure. And she also asked about cholesterol. So,
all right, Tina, high blood pressure. One of the things you want to think about doing there's something called ACE peptides. There's 2 different kinds of peptides. that are really good for blood pressure. There's C12 and C6. C12 peptides are actually from dairy products. They're good. They're not. There's no dairy elements in there. They're just isolated components of dairy that are separate from the dairy problems. No dairy problems with it. So you can get the C12 peptide and take that as directed, or the C6 peptide. There's a company called ACE peptides, ACE peptides. That's what you want to do. Get the ACE peptides and take them and take as directed. That'll help your blood pressure a lot.
Okay. Barb have congestion. She thought it was allergies. It's definitely cold. She has vertigo with this cold. She's experiencing leaning to the left. So she just wants to know how to help her vertigo with this extreme congestion and cold.
The vertigo and the congestion.
And she's nauseous.
And the nausea are a part of a we have to get to the causal root. Those symptoms are being caused by inflammation from a bacteria, from mold, from inflammation. That's an allergenic mold response. There's a lot of mold in this part of the world. We're confronted with mold all the time. We're surrounded by mold. And mold is often a problem in the sinuses, in the intercostal pathways, in the vestibular area of the brain. So it's really important that we actually think in terms of getting rid of the problem. Is it a bacteria? Is it a virus? It could be either one. It could be bacteria, virus, or allergen. So I say you want to working at the anti-inflammatory component of this. Eat dairy-free, eat nuts and seeds free, dairy-free, red meat-free, egg yolk-free. That's number one. Number two, I'd recommend something like I like nat sulf, NATSULPH, nat sulf, homeopathic nat sulf, 30C, 3 pellets 3 times a day. And I think you'd also do well to take the note that I passed along a moment ago. Get some colloidal silver, 10 parts per million. Put 4 to 6 drops down both nostrils, beginning of the day, end of the day, before your day starts and before you go to bed at night. Try those. Who's next?
I have a question from 3C. What's your take on ozone therapy?
Ozone therapy is really good. I mean, anything that supports the proliferation of oxygen at a blood level is very helpful, very good. I mean, that's one of the things that pH does. One of the beautiful things about pH, potential hydrogen, correcting your potential hydrogen levels and being alkaline. Sure. Every 1/10 of a point is equal to 64.9% oxygen differential. So oxygen is the key. Ozone therapy is a great way to do that. Excellent. Who's next?
Carrie Ann, elevated liver enzymes, person suffering from acute liver injury. Thanks, Mark, she says.
Okay. So Carrie, your liver enzymes are elevated. I assume that means serum glutamic pyruvic transaminase, serum glutamic oxaloacetic transaminase, SGOT, SGPT is probably right. Bilirubin, stuff like that. So those say that you want to be really careful with fat for about four weeks, 1 month. You want to limit your fat, restrict your fat to almost no fat at all, even healthy fat like olive oil, avocados. Just stay away from fat for a month. You want to eat boiled protein, boiled vegetables. So boiled chicken, boiled broccoli, and kind of go that route. So protein and vegetables boiled, not sauteed. You could bake and broil if you want to. So bake, broil, and boil. It's just protein and low starch vegetables. Low sugar fruits are also fine. So Granny Smith apples, grapefruit, berries, apricots, those are all fine. So stick to that 1 month, and that should bail you out. If you want to correct the enzyme activity, you'd probably be wise to take something like dandelion root tea. Take two mugs of dandelion root tea a day. Who's next?
We got suggestion for 11-year-old with type 1 diabetes.
Okay. For an 11-year-old with type 1 diabetes, it's really important that you're cautious about the starch. You want to increase the protein, the low starch vegetables, the low sugar fruits, like we just said a minute ago. Be careful about the bread, the pasta, the pancakes, starch, rice, oats, more protein, more low starch vegetables. I'd also recommend that you put them on, hopefully you can swallow pills. Chromium, CHROMIUM, chromium GTF, 200 mcgs, 1 after lunch. And something called glutamine, GLUTAMINE, glutamine. I'd recommend glutamine powder. I'd recommend that you use something like a half a teaspoon of glutamine powder in water once a day. Who's next?
So any suggestions for polymorphic light eruption sun allergy?
Yeah. You want to, for allergenic response to the sun, a lot of people have more sensitivities to the sun than we're aware of. I think it's all hydrogen. So the sun is loaded with rays of hydrogen. So I think you want to think in terms of increasing the support of your potential hydrogen levels. Your potential hydrogen levels can be increased, like I said earlier, by taking baking soda. How old? 11 years old.
No, this is a different
This is a
one.
different one.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
so
is a-
half a teaspoon of baking soda in 4 ounce water before bed, and then to take something like 2 tablespoons of liquid chlorophyll 3 times a day. That should help correct your potential hydrogen levels, bring you back into balance with potential hydrogen. Who's next?
3-minute warning. How about a rare chemical burn from coal tar poisoning?
Chemical burn from coal tar poisoning. Yes. You can actually, there's a homeopathic called graphite. I like homeopathic graphite for that. 6X, 3 pellets 3 times a day. Homeopathic graphite. The other thing I do is I do some phosphorus for that too. I get some lecithin capsules, 1,200 milligrams of lecithin capsules. Get the soy lecithin, not the sunflower lecithin. Take 2 capsules 3 times a day. So six lecithin capsules. That'll load you up with a lot of phosphorus. It's a great emulsifier. Should help a lot. What's next?
So we have a 25-year-old put on northadrone for possible.
Endometriosis.
All right. So it's my understanding from the years of work that I've done. Endometriosis is caused by yeast. Endometriosis is a degenerative response. It's increased radically over a period of time when there's a lot of yeast proliferation. So things that are fermented, vinegar, wine, beer, champagne, peanuts, yeasted breads, sugars, any of those things that are going to increase your proliferation of single cell bacterial yeast are going to cause problems for you. So you want to make sure you avoid those strictly. And I'd also take Paudiarco, Paudarco, Paudiarco, and caprylic acid. I'm thinking three of each a day. Who's next?
Well, I think we have to wrap it up now. So
Okay, take one more.
One more.
And take one more question. We're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay, so bone issues. Is there a good probiotic?
For bone issues?
I know.
There's so many different probiotics. I tend to like the Jarrow formulas makes them. An EPS that's good and an IBS that's good. I like Jarrow formulas, IBS and EPS. Those are my favorites. IBS is a really good culture. It's an excellent culture. Okay.
I'd
like to thank everybody for joining us. We'll keep your eyes peeled. We're going to do this again, maybe at a more reasonable hour, so people on the West Coast can jump on board with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Happy Earth Day.